We're going to have a look at algebraic expressions now, and we're even going to look at how we can simplify them. And the best way to get to grips with this is just to try loads of examples and we'll pick it up together. So I've got an algebraic expression here, g plus g plus g, and I want to simplify it. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, I want to write it in a way that's going to be easier to work with. I want to write it in a way that seems the most simple and straightforward and easiest to work with. Yeah. So we can simplify this, and we can do this by collecting like terms. So you'll notice there that we've got 3 of the same thing here. These are all g's, aren't they? So actually I can say I've got 3 groups of g. I've got 3 multiplied by g, and these are equal, aren't they? If I have 3 g's, that's the same, isn't it, as having 3g. Now actually I can go a step further. I can say that these are identical to. So this new symbol here, if you've not seen it before, it means identical to, and it's basically, we're just saying that this thing here, this expression here, is identical to this expression here, and so because they're identical, because they mean the exact same thing, they're just written slightly differently, I can use this symbol. Okay, so let's have a go at another expression. So here I've got another expression, r plus r plus 3 plus 2, and I want to simplify this. Now again, I'm looking for like terms. I'm looking for things which are the same. So I've got an r here and an r here. I know how to add them together because they're the same. That'll be 2 groups of r, so that'll be 2r. And I know how to add numbers together. Well, 3 plus 2 is just 5, isn't it? So what I can simplify this to is I've got 2 groups of r and I'm adding on 5. And again, I can use this identical to symbol because this expression here on the left is identical to this. They mean the exact same thing, just this one's a little bit simpler, a little bit less ink on the page, isn't it? A little bit more useful to work with. So when we do harder questions, if we're working with something that's simpler, it's going to make our lives a lot easier. So let's have a go at another example. Here's another expression, t plus t plus t plus t plus q plus q. So what I want to do to simplify it, I want to collect my like terms. So t is the same as t, and then there we go, they're all the same, aren't they? They're all t's. How many groups have I got of t? I've got 4 groups of t, so 4t. Let's make that a bit neater. 4t. And how many q's have I got? I've got a q here and a q here. If I add them together, I've got 2 q's. So I need to add them on, don't I? And these 2 expressions are identical. So this expression here on the left is identical to this expression on the right. And you notice that, this didn't take as long to write out as this whole thing did. Okay, this is simpler, much easier to work with when we do harder questions. Okay. Right, now I want to show you something, and this is called an addition pyramid. Okay, the reason why I want to show you what this is because it just makes it a little bit more fun for the next example. So let's have a look at what happens here. So if I want to know the block on top, I need to add together the blocks below it. So this block here is going to be 5 plus 9, so 5 plus 9 is 14. If I want to know this block here, then I have to add together the 9 and the 2. So this will be 11. And the block above this one, okay, we'll have to add these 2 together. So 14 plus 11 makes 25. There's your addition pyramid. So we're going to use that for our next couple of examples. So here we go, we've got some letters now. So let's think about what's going to happen. Maybe you want to pause the video and guess what you think will go in the blocks above it. So I'll give you a chance to do that now. Otherwise, we're going to carry on. So if I want to know this block here, I need to add together the 2 below it. Now, I don't know what A and G are. They might be different numbers, mightn't they? So I'm going to have to keep them separate. Whatever A is, I have to add on G, and that'll give me those 2 added together. If I wanted to know this block here, I'm going to have to add these 2 together. And again, because they're different, I don't know what they are. They could be different numbers. So whatever they are, they add together to make the block on top. And for the very final block up here, I need to add together these two blocks. Now, we can do something a little bit better now. Rather than write out a plus g plus a, we could simplify it. So what we could do is we could collect our like terms. So how many a's have we got? We've got two a's. We've got two groups of a. So I can write 2a. And how many groups of g have I got? I've got two groups of g, so I can write plus 2g. And that would be the simplified answer. Right, let's have a look at another addition pyramid and see if we can fill in the blanks. Maybe you want to have another go and pause the video and see if you can do it on your own. Otherwise, we'll carry on. So, again, now, I've got two A's here, I've got two groups of A here, and I've got three groups of B. Now, A's and B's are different, so they can't mix. So I'm going to have to just say, well, whatever 2A is, I add on 3B, and that gives me the sum. Okay, for the block next to it, we're going to add together these two, and again, B's and A's are different, so I can't add them together. So I'm just going to have to write whatever 3B is plus 5A. Now, for the very final block, we can do something a little bit different. We can simplify some of this because I need to add together all of this stuff. But you'll notice now I've got two A's here and I've got 5 A's there. So if I've got two groups of A and I add another 5 groups of A, I've now got 7 groups of A. I can do the same for the B's. If I've got 3 groups of B here and I add on another 3 groups of B, then I'm going to have 6 groups of B. And that will be your answer. So we're going to keep looking at simplifying algebraic expressions on this next page. So here's a few more examples and we'll just practice them, and that will help us to understand. The more we do, the more practice we get, the easier it will be for us. So let's have a look at the next one. I've got 2 groups of x plus another 3 groups of x, and then I've got 1x there on its own, so I've got one group of x here. So 2 plus 3 plus that extra 1x is going to make 6x's. So 6x. Right, the next one, we've got 11 groups of q, and then we take away 2 q's. So if I had 11 groups of q and then I took away 2 groups, how many would I have left? I'd have 9 groups of q left. Right, the next one, I've got a k plus a k plus a k. So I've got 3 groups of k. So we'll write that as 3k. 3 groups of k. M times m times m. Now, actually, this one is not. It's not 3m, is it? Because this is multiplication. So actually, you might remember doing indices or powers. So this is actually m to the power of 3. So that's a little bit more simply written, isn't it? So that's simplified. Right, the one below it here, 2m, take away 2m. Well, if I've got 2 groups of 2m and then I take away them, then I'm going to be left with nothing. So that's nothing. And then the last one there, I've got 2a plus b minus a. So I've got 2 groups of a, I add on b, and then I take away one of my a's. Now, that means I'm going to, if I had 2 a's and then I took away one of my a's, then I'm going to be left with just 1 a left. So I've got the 1 a I've got left, and I've also got that b, so I have to add that on. So these are all simplified expressions. Right, let's have a look at some other ones that have powers in them. Okay, now for this one here, let's look at what we've got here. We've got some p squareds. So I've got 5 p squareds, and then I add another 7 of them, and then another 3 of them. So how many do we have now? I'm going to have, well, 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 plus 5 is 15. So I've got 15 of these p squareds, whatever those p squareds are. Lovely. Right, let's have a go at this one here with x's, but we have to be a bit more careful now. Okay, now this is something where a lot of people get tripped up on. X squareds are different to x's, aren't they? Because, well, x, if you've just got x, then it's a number x, isn't it? But x squared is whatever your number is times itself, and it makes a completely new thing. So when we're simplifying something that looks like this, We just need to be careful to keep these guys separate to these guys. So let's add up all of the x squareds that we've got. So I've got 13x squareds plus 9x squareds. So I'm going to have 22x squareds. Then we can add up our x's. So we've got 6x, and then we have to take away 4x. So if I had 6 groups of x, then I took away 4 groups of x, then I'll be left with 2 groups of x. So we're going to add on 2x. And that would be your simplified answer. And then the last one there, we've got all sorts of stuff here. Let's try and simplify this, because it's a lot of effort to write all that out, isn't it? So let's try and see if we can simplify this. So what have we got that are like terms? Well, I've got some y squareds and some other y squareds. So how many have we got? So we've got 7y squared plus 3y squareds. That's going to be how many y squareds? 10y squareds. And then we've got some numbers here, haven't we? So 8 and 12. I know how to add together just numbers. So 8 plus 12 is 20. So I've got plus 20 numbers. Then I've got x's as well. Oops. I've got x's. So I've got 4x, and I've got to take away 3x. So 4x's, and if I take away my 3x's, I will be left with just 1x. So I'm going to have plus x. Okay, so hopefully going through some of those examples has helped you kind of get to grips with it. You will just have to do lots of practice, and then it'll just become second nature.
Joash Maths.